Dear child, before anything else settles into your heart, let this arrive gently. This is a spiritual reflection, not a prediction. Take what resonates with you and release what does not. I am not here to rush you. I am not here to convince you. I am not here to stir fear, pressure, or urgency. I am here to sit with you in truth, with the angels nearby, speaking softly to the part of you that has been quiet for a long time. The part of you that kept going when you were tired. The part that chose love even when it hurt. The part that stayed when walking away would have been easier. Dear child, the war is won. Not because you never struggled, not because the pain was small or imaginary, but because you did not allow the battle to steal who you are. I feel the angels surrounding you now with a deep stillness. The kind of stillness that only comes after a storm has passed. Not an empty silence, but a full one, full of meaning, full of understanding, full of breath returning to your chest. You have been in spiritual warfare longer than you admit. Even to yourself, you were fighting confusion, disappointment, unanswered questions, and the ache of loving deeply while waiting in silence. And yet, you are still here. That alone tells heaven everything it needs to know about your heart. I know how heavy it has felt. There were moments when you questioned whether holding on was faith or foolishness. Moments when you wondered if you misunderstood everything. Moments when the quiet made you feel unseen. But the angels speak clearly now. Your waiting was not ignored. Your tears were not wasted. Your silence was not weakness. It was strength learning how to breathe. Heaven saw the nights you cried quietly, so no one else would worry. Heaven saw the way you protected your dignity. When you could have begged, heaven saw the moment you chose grace. When bitterness tried to rise inside you, and every one of those moments mattered. There is something important you need to understand now. The delay was never a denial. The stillness was never abandonment. The space was never punishment. Sometimes God allows time, not to hurt us, but to prepare what is coming to meet us. Sometimes distance is not separation, it is refinement, and what has been happening slowly, quietly, invisibly, is preparation on both sides, not just for reunion, but for right alignment. I feel the angels drawing attention to the one connected to your heart. Not as a fantasy, not as an idea, but as a real soul, a soul that has been wrestling internally. They were not at peace. They tried to move forward without honoring what they felt. But something kept pulling them back. Something kept interrupting their distractions. Something kept whispering your name in moments they could not control. They did not forget you. They tried, but heaven would not allow it. There were nights when they felt unsettled without knowing why. Moments when memories of you surfaced without warning. Times when guilt rose for delaying what they knew deep down truly mattered. They carried questions they did not want to face. They resisted conviction. They told themselves stories to justify the distance. But the angels say this clearly. Truth has a sound, and once a soul hears it fully, pretending becomes exhausting. You may not have seen it, but something was breaking inside them. Pride was cracking, fear was loosening, confusion was unraveling, and this breaking was not destruction, it was awakening. The very things that once blocked movement began collapsing under the weight of realization. They started to see the cost of losing you, not only emotionally, but spiritually. They began to understand what your presence brought into their life: peace, clarity, safety, grounding. And suddenly, life without you felt louder, emptier, heavier, and dear child, I need you to hear this without shrinking. Your love changed them, not because you tried to fix them, not because you chased them, but because you loved cleanly. You loved without manipulation. You loved without conditions. You stayed true to yourself even when it hurt. That kind of love exposes what is false. It reveals where a soul is divided. And that is why it took time, because growth cannot be rushed, and surrender cannot be forced. The angels are showing me prayer now, quiet prayer, honest prayer, not dramatic, not loud, but real moments. Moments when they finally said, God, I cannot ignore this anymore. Moments when fear was admitted. Moments when clarity was asked for instead of escape. And when that happened, something shifted. Not instantly, but surely. Because when a heart stops resisting God, direction becomes unavoidable. You thought the silence meant it was over, but the angels say this clearly. Silence was incubation. Something was forming beneath the surface. Something that could not be rushed. Something that could not be revealed too early. Because what is being prepared is not a shallow connection. It is covenant-level understanding. Something meant to last. Not just something that feels good for a moment. Beloved soul, you are also being prepared. God was strengthening you in ways you did not notice at first. Teaching you discernment, teaching you self-respect, teaching you how to love without losing yourself, teaching you that patience does not mean self-abandonment. You learned how to stand without forcing outcomes. You learned how to stay open without staying unprotected. And this matters because the version of you now is capable of receiving something real. Not just something familiar. I feel the angels speaking gently now. You are not behind. You are not late. You did not miss your moment. What felt like delay was alignment catching up. The atmosphere around you is different because you are different, and they are different too. What once felt unstable is becoming grounded. What once felt uncertain is becoming intentional. There will be a moment. Quiet. Simple. Unmistakable. You will notice the change. Not through grand gestures at first, but through tone, through consistency, through clarity, through presence. You will sense sincerity where there was once hesitation. You will feel steadiness where there was once confusion. You will hear truth without pressure, without games, without avoidance, and your spirit will recognize it before your mind does. This is not about rushing into anything. This is about allowing what has been refined to approach with honesty. Love that has passed through fire does not arrive loudly. It arrives humbly, and that humility is the sign of transformation. The angels are not pushing you into fantasy. They are inviting you into discernment mixed with hope. I want to speak directly to the fear that still lingers in you, the fear of disappointment, the fear of hoping again, the fear of being vulnerable one more time. The angels say your caution is understandable, but it does not mean you are closed. It means you are wise, and wisdom will guide you now, not fear. You are allowed to observe. You are allowed to take time. You are allowed to let actions speak louder than words. Heaven is not offended by your boundaries. It honors them, beloved soul. Nothing you walked through was meaningless. The pain shaped you. The waiting strengthened you. The silence taught you how to listen deeper. And now something is aligning, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily, like dawn, light arriving without asking permission. You do not need to chase this. You do not need to announce it. You only need to stay present. If your heart feels full, let it rest. If your heart feels cautious, let it breathe. If your heart feels hopeful, be gentle with it. The angels are near, not to overwhelm you, but to reassure you. You are seen, you are held, you are guided, and you are not walking alone into what comes next. If all you can say quietly inside is, I trust God with this, that is enough. Heaven would not let them forget you, because you were never meant to be a passing thought. You were a turning point, a reminder, something holy that left a mark. They tried to fill the space. But what God ordains cannot be replaced. What you shared was not just emotion, it was recognition. And now, truth is becoming clearer. You did not chase, you did not beg, you loved with dignity, you waited with boundaries. And heaven honors that. You prayed without needing applause, and that kind of strength changes a person who once confused chaos for passion. I can sense them now. Words stuck in their throat, writing messages, deleting them, starting again, because how do you speak to someone you realize was a blessing you mishandled? How do you apologize to someone whose only mistake was loving you the right way? Their silence has become heavier than their fear. They would rather risk rejection than keep living in denial. And hear this clearly, dear child. If this resonates, I do not feel shallow energy anymore. No games, no half-commitment, no uncertainty disguised as caution. The delay was not punishment. It was depth. God allowed time to burn off immaturity, to confront pride, to expose fear of real love. Some people only understand what they had after the noise fades, and they sit alone with their own soul. And now something urgent is stirring in them, not longing, conviction, not confusion, clarity, a moment where the Spirit says, no more delay, no more hiding, no more pretending. You may have felt it too, a strange calm, a quiet stillness, not because you are powerless, but because something is being rearranged. Sometimes the Spirit knows before the phone rings. Sometimes the heart grows quiet because it senses movement in the unseen. And the angels are near, not just to comfort you, but to steady you. They are being guided, cleared, aligned. Hearts are softening. Wrong voices are quieting. Space is being made for what is real, because what is happening is not just reconnection. It is restoration, not just, let us talk again. But let us honor what we broke, not just, I miss you, but I understand you. But I understand you. But I understand you. Not just, I am back, but I am different. I sense they have been given inner glimpses, not fantasies to chase, but quiet understanding of what love looks like when it is done God's way. Peace instead of chaos. Laughter without losing yourself. Connection without pressure to shrink. Prayer in ordinary moments. Warmth in simple days. A future that feels safe, not like survival. And that vision is changing them. Because once a soul touches something holy, it cannot stay satisfied with shallow again. So let your heart stay calm. Let God finish what He has been aligning. And if this message brought you even a moment of peace, your support through a small coffee donation helps keep this space gentle and alive.